I'm very well, Cherry. I'm the HR director of a company called Taaleem. Taaleem is it's probably the second largest school or education provider in the United Arab Emirates. We have now about 26 schools, which includes, private schools. It includes a lot of public-private partnerships. So we work very closely with the government and we manage a lot of their schools as well. So it's a great mix of very different kinds of schools. We have the IB curriculum, we have the US curriculum, and we have the UK curriculum. So it's, yes, a very exciting role. Education and healthcare, I always think, are two amazing industries for HR to be in because it's just so dynamic and there's so much change. And you also feel like you're giving back to the community. So yeah, that's my role at Taaleem. So 2022 for us, at least at Taaleem, has been incredible. There's been so much of change, Cherry. I think, and I think the word change is really, and you'll hear this in HR conferences and lectures, and the only thing that can't change is change, and change continues and change continues. But this year has just been absolutely crazy for us, and this is for a couple of reasons, and both amazing reasons, and great news for the company. One is that we've decided to go as a company. We decided to go IPO, so we've decided to go public and become a publicly listed firm. And people out there who are in HR and who have been part of that process, only they will understand the kind of work and the kind of efforts that need to go into prepping your company to make sure that you can publicly list, because obviously there's a lot of reporting, there's a lot that we need to get in place in terms of policy, process, all the rest of that. So number one was that. So we were crazy busy doing a lot of that. Second thing is we actually opened 7 new schools this year, and we acquired another private school. So we actually were involved, and you can imagine with an acquisition as well, there's so many things that from an HR point of view, because education is all about service. It's all about people. 90% of our cost, of our services, everything is to do with people, because it's not really a product, is the offering that we give to our children and our parents. So, it's been a huge year for change, a huge year of multitasking. So we've had to do a lot of multitasking. So these are the 2 big events that have happened. And ask anyone, just opening 1 new school, how difficult that is. But opening, 7 new schools and acquiring an 8th has been absolutely crazy with a very, small functional team at head office. So I think the learning for me has been incredible. And for our team, I think, again, going back to when you're moving from a privately owned company to a publicly owned company. So I think the main thing learning for us was it's amazing how much of work and scrutiny needs to go into the whole HR, the whole people function, the whole HR function, how you need to make sure that all your contracts are in place, that you've gone through a proper process when you're hiring people, that your policies are in place, that you're capturing your cost to company, what we call our CTCs, that you're capturing that accurately, because all of these things are what define, your revenues, your net profit, your P&L is defined by all these elements. And until you don't get these absolutely right, and you're sure of your numbers, it's you're going public now. You're open to public scrutiny. You've got shareholders that are expanding, and you are answerable to them. So I think for me, the huge learning was how that process works, taking a company from private to public, which has been so interesting for like an education company. And I think, again, for me, the huge learning, and for our team, the huge learning has also been around exactly what our kind of approach should be when we're opening a new school. And it's similar if you want to apply that to a new business, you want to apply that to a new product. It's a very similar process. What is that approach that we should have? What should that project look like? What are our resources? what are the budgets that we need to meet. So huge learning on both these fronts, both in terms of transition, in terms of change, in terms of acquisitions. It's been a huge year for us. Again, HR has evolved so much over the years. I recall when I first started working in HR, it was so much more of a policing function, or HR needs to start monitoring exactly what time are you getting to work and exactly what time the employee leaves. And so it was a lot around a policing, auditing, kind of strict policy, stick to process, stick to policy kind of function. And I think the aftermath of COVID, that was a great wake-up call for all of us, which for HR, it had a huge impact as well, because it showed us that work can be achieved, work can be accomplished, with great technology from different places, with a more flexible approach to how we manage people. And so that was, I think, the big learning that was really important, that has actually also 2023 has also had a lot of that. So I sense that also with my HR colleagues and the the people that I speak with and meet with, other HR senior leaders, is that the whole approach around their thinking around how HR is and how to manage people is definitely more relaxed, is more focused on something that HR has been drumming on for years, is focus on performance, focus on performance, focus on output, not on how they're getting there. Treat people like adults, let them decide how they wish to work and how they wish to deliver. And those are all very important learnings for HR that came out of after COVID. And I think that will now continue. I think that will only get better. I think obviously everything that we want to leave behind, is stuff like not wearing masks anymore, not going through the stress of, people falling ill, people being ill in your family, so that whole life-changing event, which was COVID-19, I think 2022 had a bit of there was still a bit of a, aftermath of that, but I think that's gradually evaporating. And I think 2023 is going to be an awesome year in every way. It's going to be a lot around how can we continue to build up on management, on leadership effectiveness, and how effective they really are. What is effective management? Especially for HR, a lot of the issues that we have with managing people, 80% of their jobs, they get stuck in managing people or their teams, is because they didn't start to manage them in the right way to start with. So if an employee has not been performing, you find this a lot with managers, is that they'll continue to whine about it, they'll complain about it, but they're not actually addressing the issue with the employee and actually putting them through an improvement process. So I think that will continue to be a focus, is continuing to focus on those skill sets for our management and our leadership. I think the focus for us definitely next year is going to be continued on recruitment. I think, inshallah, are going to have a lot of new schools opening next year. So I think our season kind of recruitment starts in the first quarter. So there's going to be a lot of focus on recruitment. How can we improve that process? How do we ensure that every person we hire is of a higher quality? What's our interviewing and recruitment process looking like? And where are the gaps and what do we need to improve? So currently, that's one of the areas that we're definitely looking at. And the third thing, I think, is around onboarding in the employee experience or the employee life cycle with Taaleem, right from start to end. How do we manage that whole process? What kind of an impression do we give people who are interested in working with us when they do join us? What is the onboarding like? Is it optimal? I think we have a lot of areas for improvement over there, especially because 80% of our teachers are from our expats, are from different countries. Have some of them are coming to the UAE for the first time. So are we really making them feel comfortable? Are we really helping them understand the cultural changes and values and things that they need to be aware of, so that they are completely comfortable with where they're coming and how they're going to be able to deliver the best kind of teaching to our kids? So yeah, these are some of our priorities for next year. I think the transformation around technology, HR technology, HR tech is going to continue. I think there are so many now, and you may know this. I'm sure you get them in your inbox all the time. People reaching out with new products, new services, or we can do this for your employee engagement. There are about 15 different things in technology for employee engagement. There's the whole thing around. I think the most amazing thing I'd love to do is to get into HR tech when it comes to performance management and how we manage people. I think globally we are moving away from, and we should move away from, this setting of objectives, looking at them at mid-year and then doing a year-end kind of appraisal, right? And traditionally we've been doing that for years and years and years. Not sure how much it's worked and how much it hasn't. But I think technology now allows you, there are these HR apps and tools which allow you to track people's real-time performance. And they always say, that's the main thing about human motivation, is when somebody's doing something right, tell them right there and then they're doing a great job. When something they haven't done right, give them feedback at exact that moment, rather than waiting till end of year, because it just doesn't have the same impact. And the employee is not going to be able to change a thing, right? End of the year, you're giving me my appraisals saying this is wrong with me. I can't change a thing now. I can't change my score. You should have given me this feedback 6 months ago or 8 months ago, right? When it happened, right? And so I think there's going to be the huge transformation, which will continue to happen, which is already there, but I think it's going to get bigger and bigger, is around performance management and how HR tech and what kind of apps are available to be able to manage people's performance in a far more real-time manner, rather than the traditional KPIs mid-year, end-year approach.